focus on the IT names, you can see that the numbers for Wipro are flashing on the bottom of your screen. Numbers largely seem to be in line with the estimates that you are going with. 22,697 crores in terms of revenue, very, very close to the number that we were going with, the estimate of 22,681 crores. EBIT 3,680 crores has come down slightly below the estimates. 3,762 crores is what we were going with, and the net profit is largely in line with estimates between 3,200 as well as 3,300 crores. So numbers seem to be, at least for the top four numbers, largely in line with the estimates as well. We've seen that the constant currency growth has been the other factor which we have been talking about a bit as well. It's important to note that the management had guided for -1% to +1% in terms of constant currency at the end of the last quarter. So what actually Wipro does is just give guidance for one particular quarter. Margins were between 16 to 17% and have also come in line in that number as well. So EBIT margins coming in at 16.2 versus 16% the same time last quarter. They want to inch that up, is what I got the sense from Srini Palya the last time I spoke to him. But numbers seem to be largely in line with the estimates as well. But to dissect the numbers more, and as we put out a lot more data in terms of the attrition amongst others, I'm being joined by Avinash Gorakshakkar. He is the founder as well as the head research analyst at Avinash Mentor Research Services. Avinash, very good afternoon to you, and thanks so much for joining in. The top four numbers largely seem to be in line for Wipro. What was your estimate going in with, and is that the analysis that you have as well?
No, I think, Puneet, the numbers are in line with expectations, both in terms of top line as well as bottom line. I think what is important is the commentary which comes out. I think the markets would like to know what are the kind of new deals the company signs, what is the kind of pricing pressure, which maybe the company is facing. And typically, my sense is, what is the constant currency growth going forward? Because, typically, I think Wipro is one of those companies which does not give very aggressive guidance. But typically, in terms of constant currency, what kind of growth numbers could we see in the coming quarter? And what are the kind of new client wins which the company expects going forward? And typically, with the US tariff issue hanging, I think has some pressure come on tariff-related sectors like retail and manufacturing. So typically, I think we like to wait and watch and hear all this from the management and then take a fresh review on the stock.
Well, right, thank you for that. Now, if you look at the overall CC terms revenue growth, it's grown by 0.3% positive. It comes in the range of the management earlier guided, but as for brokerages, it has still done better. Now, in terms of deal win, we also see the deal wins have clocked at 2.9 billion. It's an uptick from the previous quarter, which again comes in line with the estimate. While the interesting thing to watch is the guidance. While the management has increased the lower end of the guidance from -1% to -0.5%, and they have also increased the upper end of the guidance from +1% to +1.5% on the back of positive momentum. Well, that's interesting given the street was expecting a mixed guidance and most of them are penciling in the guidance to remain same. So Avinash, I would like to come down to you to understand what do you think is the reasoning behind this increase in the guidance? How does the whole Wipro looks going forward from here?
No, I think it looks to be a small, pleasant surprise from the management side. But I think clearly we like to have once the analyst meet call starts and we get to know more from the management. I think we have been telling our clients to hold on to the stock. I think clearly, some better traction in the October to December quarter would give a little more confidence to investors. I think clearly, the way the stock has been beaten down, I think markets were little prepared for a much bad kind of number performance, which I think the company has pleasantly surprised on the upside. So we continue to be structurally positive, but we like to wait for another quarter before we could take a fresh review. But it's a hold. We have been telling all our clients to hold on. Fresh buying possibly could be done at lower levels.
Fair point, Avinash. And the valuations have been quite favorable for Wipro at this point of time compared to the other larger peers. The problem has been in terms of growth. So in terms of guidance, it's come in as Jasmeet also mentioned, 0.3% in terms of the quarter-on-quarter basis. In terms of constant currency, attrition largely stable at 14.9 to 15%. So that's another key positive, that it hasn't increased or inched up at any point of time as well. They've highlighted some other points as well in terms of deal bookings, 2.9 billion. Total bookings have come in at 4.7 billion. Avinash, while the total booking actually number has come down by almost 6% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the concern largely on Wipro has been that as these deals have been won and starting to go up in terms of execution, the margin pressure has been sustained. And again, this quarter, it's not been a very major push in terms of margins on the upside. Do you expect that in terms of the guidance largely to be expected around 16%? Do you see that could be a challenge going forward for Wipro?
Yeah, in terms of margins, Puneet, there could be a little bit of challenge because I think despite the size of the deals going up, margin pressure is something which is very clearly evident. I think we'll have to wait and watch what the management says, but I think clearly the market is also penciling a lower margin, on new deals, and that I think is going to obviously not going to be liked by the market. But I think we'll have to see how it goes. Typically, at least as of now, the margin pressure looks very evident. I think we'll have to see how the management justifies as to how it protects its margins going forward.
Well, right, thank you for that. Now, if you look at the TCS results, we see TCS had moved in to a data center, and we couldn't see similar trends across other IT results like HCL Tech and Tech Mahindra. Do you think Infosys will come with something like that? And given they have done the buyback, and that's going to have the impact. So do you think like Wipro is going to move away from its core business, or what do you think? And what do you think on the AI ramp up as well? Given that they haven't mentioned the advanced AI revenue like how we had seen in the other companies. So what are your views on both of these factors?
Puneet, can you please repeat the question, please?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I was asking you, given that companies have reported advanced AI revenue as a separate key factor, and we don't see anything as such in Infosys yet. So what are your views on that?
So I think we'll like to hear the management commentary on that. I think, as of now, it's difficult to tell you what exactly does it mean. But I think clearly some more clarity from the management would be better to note.
Avinash, one last question from my side. We had seen that the guidance last quarter was -1 to +1. This time it's -0.5 to +1.5. But given this guidance, it still seems a little difficult for the company to show any kind of meaningful growth for this whole year of FY26. And if that is the case, this will be the third consecutive year of negative growth or flat growth in terms of revenue. What would your assessment be on this, and what would you be watching out for from the conference call and the presser as well?
So I think two important things. What is the guidance, margin guidance? Secondly, what is the constant currency growth in terms of revenue growth? And more importantly, any new deals which are expected. See, I think, as you said, the guidance which the company has given does not inspire great confidence. And I think unless they increase the range, I think the markets are not going to look at any strong, meaningful growth for 26. So my sense is the order wins which are expected to come in, which are there in the pipeline, the margin guidance, and the constant currency growth. These could be three important elements which I think most of the analysts would like to know from the management.
Got that. Avinash, thanks so much for joining in, giving us perspective for the numbers of Wipro. So, we mentioned about numbers largely being in line on top four aspects. We're seeing some comments coming in from the Wipro CFO as well, that they're expecting some gradual returning of growth trajectory with 3 to 4 SMUs growing sequentially in Q2. But the larger implication seems to be that while the guidance for the next quarter is better than what they gave in Q1 for this particular quarter, there seems to be some absence of growth, and we will be watching out for the presser in terms of commentary, because FY26 could well be turn out to be a year where you could have a flat performance in terms of revenue growth. But that's all the time we have on this edition of Earnings Edge. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more.